Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into Key Time Sports. It's Key Time coming back to talk about everything that I saw in the week 13 of the 2024 NFL season. The first game I want to start off with is the Thanksgiving Day games. When it comes to all of those Thanksgiving Day games, the first game was the Chicago and Detroit. So, Lions, most of the game, they led the entirety of this game, but there is one constant flaw that I've seen with the Chicago Bears all season. It's late game situations. They don't know what to do in late game situations. And that's why Matt Eberflus was fired. But I am going to tell y'all the criteria of this game. It started out Detroit Lions going up and down the field the entirety of the first half. Then third quarter, they got one touchdown drive. And then in the fourth, the Chicago Bears started to gain ground and tie the game up. And then the Lions, they were up by 3 with under 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And the Chicago Bears, one thing they could have did was went down the field, tied the game, or score a touchdown, but they failed to do so. Now with Matt Eberflus, it's been 4 separate occasions that he has did something like this, and that's what ultimately led to his firing. Against Washington, not having everybody back. Against the Minnesota Vikings, losing on a last second field goal. Against the Green Bay Packers, losing on a block field goal. And then on Thanksgiving, losing to Detroit with horrible clock management. And need I remind everybody that is against all of your division rivals. That is in your division knows that you have these kind of flaws, and they won basically off of the ineptitude and the psychological and schematic system of the Chicago Bears. Now, Chicago Bears, they have fired their head coach, Matt Eberflus. This is the first time ever in Chicago Bears history that they have fired a coach in season. Now, I'm hearing speculation that Cliff Kingsbury might be the next head coach, which is obviously the first choice because Caleb Williams and Cliff Kingsbury mesh great together in college. Also, Kellen Moore, he's another one. And that's all the speculations that I'm hearing right now when it comes to the future Chicago Bears football coach. Now, as far as the Detroit Lions, I have the Detroit Lions being the best team in the NFC, with the Philadelphia Eagles being the second best team in the NFC. So the Detroit Lions, their only loss came against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in week 3. Outside of that, they have been picture perfect. They really have. And when you look at third down situations in this game, Chicago Bears 7 of 15, Detroit Lions 5 of 14. So the Chicago Bears really could have won this game if it wasn't for the lack of time management. That's all it was when it comes to the Chicago Bears. And that has been a microcosm. Next game I want to cover is the New York Giants and Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are now back in the playoff chase after winning 2 games versus the Washington Commanders and the New York Giants. But you know what I say, it's just the New York Giants. So, New York Giants, Drew Lock, he had a piss poor performance. Really, the New York Giants as an organization, really since Eli left, they really haven't done anything outside of 1 year making it to the playoffs. And also, when it comes to the New York Giants, as far as a running back, you let one of your best running backs in franchise history walk out the door in Saquon Barkley, and he is tearing it up with the Philadelphia Eagles right in your division. Now, the Dallas Cowboys, what they have endured throughout the season, and for them to be 5-7 and still be in the hunt for a playoff spot is downright amazing. Maybe these last two games, they won them based off of luck. Who knows? But the schedule, the schedule gets a little bit more easier for the Cowboys and for the Giants. Do I see them winning another game this season? I don't think so. Now, as far as see this game right here in the first quarter, the Giants had the lead. They had a chance to extend the lead, but a turnover here and there, a fourth down stop here and there by the Cowboys defense basically turned the game on its head, and the New York Giants on third down, 3 of 12. What do I always say, America? When it comes to a team being 3 of 12 on anything, whether it's any sport, you will not win any games when you have a stat line of being 3 of 12 in a category in a game. So that's what lost the game for the New York Giants. And the Dallas Cowboys, they are fortunate that the New York Giants are a dilapidated team right now. They have injuries galore. They got rid of their franchise QB in Daniel Jones. Now he is in Minnesota. And the New York Giants are the worst team in the NFC, if not the worst team in all of football. Giants have took the cake. Now, the next is the Miami Dolphins and Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers, when it comes to the Green Bay Packers in the NFC North, they might have the best chance at beating the Detroit Lions. Now, the Green Bay Packers and Detroit Lions play on Thursday. Let's see how both of these teams match up against each other. And I'm not being disrespectful to the Minnesota Vikings, who are currently 9-2. They can throw some haymakers at the Detroit Lions. Early in the season, the game came down to a field goal, and the Detroit Lions won. So both teams, Green Bay and Minnesota, are capable of hanging with the Detroit Lions. Now back to the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers, one thing I can say, rushing attack over 100 yards, and Miami's rushing attack was non-existent. But historically, Miami, they have not fared well in cold weather games. That's why I say when it comes to the Miami Dolphins going into a cold climate, they are already at a disadvantage before they step on the field. And that's basically what this was. Jordan Love, 21 of 28, 274 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Tua Tagovailoa, 37 of 46, 365 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Now, one thing about this game, I knew that Green Bay was going to win this game outright because it didn't even have to be about the weather. Just the Miami Dolphins traveling up north. They haven't been able to win up north in a while. Now you look at third down efficiency. Green Bay was 5 of 11. Now, Green Bay, they could have had a better stat line for third down efficiency, but this was against the Miami Dolphins. All teams who have a team, Miami Dolphins are a team. Their season is hanging by a thread. If they lose one more game, then they are out of it. They are out of it. So Miami Dolphins, they were 14. They were 4 of 14 on third down. So Miami, I believe it's too little, too late for Miami when it comes to trying to save their season. And basically from week 3 to week 7, they were at the bottom of the league in total offense, and now it's going to hurt them. See the Miami to the playoffs, they have got to win out and have at least 4 teams to lose 2 of their next 3 games to even have a remote shot at making the playoffs. Now, the next game I want to cover is the Las Vegas Raiders and Kansas City Chiefs, the Black Friday game, as everybody says it is. One thing about this game, I've saw people online and people have reached out to me and said that there was 2, maybe 3 plays in this game that was controversial. Now, everybody is going to the last play of the game. Now, the last play of the game, the center, he had the ball. Now his right tackle tapped him on his leg, and that gives the indication to the center that the quarterback is ready to snap the ball. But since it was a dead ball foul, now credit, it was a dead ball foul, but before the play started to happen, the ball was already in the backfield. So was it really a dead ball foul? Because when the ball was snapped, 2, maybe 3 seconds later, the referees blew their whistle. Now, it was a fumble. Kansas City had recovered, and that play is not that is not a reviewable play. See, one thing about it is what the Raiders should have done was call a timeout, even though that they had used all of their timeouts. They should have saved that last timeout for a situation like this. But all in all, the Raiders fumbled the ball. The Chiefs got on the ball and recovered it. So obviously, that penalty held no weight after the Chiefs recovered that football. So now, are the Chiefs lucky in this case? Yes, they are, because I believe if the Raiders would have gotten 10, maybe 15 more yards, kicked the field goal, they would have won that game. But the luck, I'm going to call it champion's luck when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs, because Patrick Mahomes, he really didn't have, he had an okay game, 26 or 46, 306 yards, 1 touchdown, and 0 interceptions. Aiden O'Connell, 23 or 35, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Now, as far as the Kansas City Chiefs, do I see them making it to the Super Bowl? I have a hard time betting against the Kansas City Chiefs, because they know what it takes to get to the Super Bowl. And if the Kansas City Chiefs get home field advantage, you might as well pencil them in for the Super Bowl, because as of right now, do you see a team like Pittsburgh going into Arrowhead beating the Kansas City Chiefs? Do you see a team like the Buffalo Bills going into a hostile environment at Arrowhead Stadium and beating the Chiefs? I'll give the Buffalo Bills a better shot at making it a competitive game. But outside of the Buffalo Bills, I don't see anybody contending with the Kansas City Chiefs for home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Baltimore, they are up and down. They don't know how many carries to give Derrick Henry on a consistent basis. So that's the level of trepidation I have when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens. The Buffalo Bills, they are iffy. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they are iffy. So I am going to stay with the Kansas City Chiefs as representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. I'm going to cover is the one thing I can say about the Atlanta Falcons is Kirk Cousins, his days are numbered in Atlanta, because when you look at his stat line, 24 of 31, 245 yards, 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and all 4 of those interceptions proved costly. I mean, they really did, because all 4 of those interceptions, they were in scoring territory. They could have had a chance to kick a field goal or score a touchdown. And with all those 4 interceptions that Kirk Cousins threw, that ultimately lost them the game. Now, the Los Angeles Chargers rushing attack was non-existent. Justin Herbert, 16 or 23, 147 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. One thing about this game, this was a defensive game in its entirety. And one thing about the Atlanta Falcons, when it comes to defensive games, they haven't won any defensive games today. When they are held under 20 points, Atlanta has not won a game at all this season. The Chargers, this is the way that the Chargers play. It really is. And when you see their third down efficiency on offense, 3 of 11 for the Chargers, 3 of 14 for the Atlanta Falcons. This game was a defensive game throughout. And the Chargers, I predicted the Chargers would win this game. And that's exactly what they did. Now, the Atlanta Falcons, they are in danger. That first place spot at the NFC South is the worst division in the NFL, and it proves me right. The next game I'm going to cover is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals season is over. They are 4-8. Even if they win out, the Cincinnati Bengals will be 9-8, but still not have a chance at making the playoffs. Now, Pittsburgh Steelers, one thing I got to say, Mike Tomlin, he has never had a losing season. He's coached in the NFL for 18 years, has never had a losing season. I got to give him a hand clap because there's been so much from year to year. There's so much player turnover. You don't know who is going to be your starting quarterback. Obviously, since Ben Roethlisberger retired, it's been a revolving door at quarterback every year since Roethlisberger has retired. But as far as Russell Wilson, now we see now where Russell Wilson, he's starting to mesh with everybody in the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. Russell Wilson, 29 of 38, 414 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. And for Joe Burrow, 28 of 38, 309 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And the rushing game for the Cincinnati Bengals, it was pretty much non-existent. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, their running game cracked over 100 yards. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 9-3. They were projected to be the worst team in the NFC North. And credit, I was one that was signing off on that too, saying that the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't have a chance at making the playoffs. But now they have a chance. And when you look at, when it comes to third down, I always say that third down is what win you ball games. Pittsburgh Steelers were 4 of 9 on third down. The Cincinnati Bengals were 4 of 8 on third down. As far as the Cincinnati Bengals, what they need to do is come back next year and try and have a better season. And one other thing, we have got to question Zach Taylor. What do the Cincinnati Bengals be doing from OTAs, mini camp, training camp, and the first month of the season? Because the first month of the season, they are not able to get it in gear. And it's been like that for a while now. It really has. So we have got to start questioning what are the Cincinnati Bengals doing earlier on in the season, because they start off slow. They start 2 or 3 games under 500 and then have to battle their way back to get back to 500 and then go on a run. Obviously, this season, they are not able to do that. And plus, I've been hearing speculation throughout the last 4 or 5 months that T. Higgins will not be in Cincinnati next season. That is all. That's the speculation that I'm hearing. Now, are these speculations true? We will see in the offseason, but that's all I have to say when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals. The next I'm going to is you are second in the NFC West. The Seattle Seahawks are first. Arizona Cardinals, they are a young team, and it's really it's really odd to say that because Kyler Murray has been in the NFL for 4 years now. But like I said, the Cardinals are still a young team. They are 6-6. They have a chance at making the playoffs. And they also have a chance at winning the division. Now, do they win the division? It remains to be seen. Do they make it to the playoffs? Also remains to be seen. As far as the Minnesota Vikings, are they just an average team? Or are they one of those teams that could give Detroit a run for their money? Now, we already have the Detroit Lions and Minnesota Vikings game on tape. It came down, I said earlier in the show, the first game, their first division game, came down to a last second field goal make by the Detroit Lions. So Minnesota, they can hang with the Detroit Lions. As far as the Arizona Cardinals, I don't know if they are able to go on the road in the playoffs and withstand the level of hostility that a opposing crowd and fan base will give them. So, congrats to the Arizona Cardinals being 500 at the start at this point in the season, because the Arizona Cardinals were also projected to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. But obviously they are a nip and tuck team, and they are one that is going to stay be in the thick of things when it comes to the wild card race. Now this game right here, Kyler Murray 31 of 45, Sam Darnold, 21 of 31, 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Kyler Murray, 31 of 45, 260 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. And the third down for the Minnesota Vikings were 1 of 8 on third down. And I always say, when you are 1 of 8 at something in any sport, you are supposed to lose. Now, Arizona, they did turn the ball over a couple of times. They had 2 turnovers, Arizona did, that led to 10 Minnesota Vikings points. So turnovers will lose you the game, and that's exactly what the Arizona Cardinals did, as they turned the ball over and they lost this game. Next, Indianapolis Colts and the New England, y'all are 6-7. Basically believe that 2-point conversion was a season-saving, successful 2-point conversion, because if the Colts don't get that 2-point conversion, they're 5-8 and basically on the verge of losing out on the playoffs. So, New England, you have Drake May for the foreseeable future. Indianapolis, you still have a chance at making the playoffs. What the Indianapolis Colts have to do is win out. First, they have to win out and hope that 3 teams lose 2 of their remaining 5 games to even have a chance at making the playoffs. But all in all, Anthony Richardson, he played decent. 12 of 24, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So he was basically 50% in everything this game. Drake May, 24 of 30, 238 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. New England, this was going to be a rebuilding year for you anyway. Indianapolis, this is a year of a rebuilding, but also establishment as a playoff team, because last year Colts had a chance at making the playoffs, obviously didn't get there. Now they have a chance at making the playoffs. And the last stat that I'm going to give with this game is third down efficiency on both sides. 5 of 11, the Indianapolis Colts were. 6 of 11, the New England Patriots were. So basically, this game was an entertaining game, but the better team won this game at the end of Now, Indianapolis Colts, they are able to get scenarios, and we see if the Indianapolis Colts will make it to the playoffs at the end of this month. The next game I'm going to cover is the Seattle Seahawks and the New York Jets. New York Jets, your season is over. I said before the start of the season, I had them as one of my teams with plenty to prove in the 2024 season, the New York Jets. Now, your 2024 season is basically over at 3-9. What do the New York Jets need to do at this point in the season? First off, what they need to do is start preparing for the NFL draft, because that is fastly approaching. April will be here before we know it. The season will be over before we know it. Geno Smith was 20 of 31, 206 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers, 21 of 39, 185 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. The running game, the both rushing attacks were basically non-existent when it comes to being, they were 84. The Seattle Seahawks had 84 rushing yards. The New York Jets had 89 rushing yards. So about the same, but basically they were non-existent. Seattle Seahawks, I have them as an average team, not go very far. Geno Smith, he has been up and down all season. Some games he can throw 4 touchdowns with 0 interceptions, and then have a game with 3 interceptions and 1 touchdown. So he hasn't played consistently, and the Seattle Seahawks haven't played consistently neither. The New York Jets, we already know that they are a dumpster fire. Come back next year and see what they can do with Aaron Rodgers at the helm again. Third down efficiency in this game, Seattle Seahawks were 4 of 13. The New York Jets were 5 of 13. So this game was basically an entertaining game, but the Jets had a chance to slam on the Seattle Seahawks early in this game. In the second half, it was 21-16. The Jets were going in for another touchdown, and it really was, because when you look at it, if the Jets score a touchdown there, and we obviously are talking about a whole different game, because I don't think that the Seattle Seahawks could have came back down from a 12-point deficit in the fourth quarter. But basically, when it comes to throwing interceptions, Aaron Rodgers is prone to throwing interceptions now. Aaron Rodgers, he has had slippage throughout the season. He has had slippage, and it's okay to admit that. New York Jet fans, come back next year and let's see what you can do. Now, the next game I'm going to cover is the Tennessee Titans and Washington Commanders. I'm not going to stay too much. I'm not going to emphasize too much on the Tennessee Titans, because we know that they were going to have an underachieving year. But as far as the Washington Commanders, this was basically a get-right game for them. You had that debacle against the Cowboys last week. I believe that they took the Cowboys. It may have started to sink in that they were taking the Cowboys too lightly, and they just wanted to take out their frustrations on the next possible opponent. So Jayden Daniels is the MVP as far as I'm concerned. It's between him and Bo Nix. But Jayden Daniels, 25 of 30, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Will Levis, 18 of 37, 2 touchdowns, and surprisingly, 0 interceptions, because I always call him the turnover machine. Now, the Washington 8-5 today, they would be facing the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia. So now we know what the Washington Commanders, who they will be facing. Now, the playoff picture is not finalized yet, but if the playoffs started today, the Washington Commanders would be facing their arch rival, the Philadelphia Eagles. And do I think that they can hang with the Philadelphia Eagles on a good day? No, I don't think so. But as far as this game, when it comes to the Tennessee Titans, the Washington Commanders' third down efficiency, they were 9 of 14. And for the Tennessee Titans, they were 5 of 12. Tennessee Titans need to start prepping for the playoffs because might as well start getting your playoff tickets ready. The Commanders headed to the playoffs. If they win two more games, they will officially be in the playoffs. The next game I'm going to cover is the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And let me first off start by saying I saw the hit where Axel hit Trevor Lawrence, and it was a gruesome injury and a gruesome shot. But like I said, the player on the Houston Texans, he has apologized to all NFL fans. He apologized to Trevor Lawrence over social media yesterday. Let bygones be bygones. But one thing I know that the NFLPA will take serious action on this because those type of hits, the NFL, they don't want the viewing public, journalists, and all of the above. They don't want us to see that, and I understand that. Now to the game. CJ Stroud, 22 of 34, 242 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Mac Jones, who came in for Trevor Lawrence in his absence, 20 of 32, 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The running games, the running attacks were basically about the same. 108 for the Houston Texans, 97 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Houston, they are 8-5. And one thing about Houston is that if Houston wins another game, they will be 9-5. And if the Colts lose 2 more games, Houston will become the AFC South champions again for the second consecutive year. So the Jacksonville Jaguars, another team I've been stating throughout the season, they need to 5 NFL draft because this season is a complete wash. The game cover is the Los Angeles Rams and the New Orleans Saints. Matthew Stafford, 14 of 24, 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Derek Carr, 24 of 37, 184 yards, 1 touchdown, and 0 interceptions. The New Orleans Saints, they need to draft them a quarterback because Derek Carr is one of those quarterbacks. I don't think that he is ever going to reach his ceiling when I mean ceiling, his full potential as an NFL quarterback. The Los Angeles Rams, they are right there with the Seattle Seahawks and Arizona Cardinals for best record or second best record in the NFC West. New Orleans Saints, they still have a chance, a remote chance, not saying that they are going to do it, a remote chance at making the playoffs. They obviously have to have the Buccaneers and the Falcons lose out and the New Orleans Saints win out. Do I see that happening? No, I don't. And on efficiency in this game, the Los Angeles Rams were 4 of 9. The New Orleans Saints were 5 of 15. The Los Angeles Rams, they need to go on ahead and start building for the future because Matthew Stafford a good year or two. But after that, you're not going to get much out of him. You're not. When it comes to the Rams, they need to get them more wide receivers, more a legitimate every down running back because The running back they have now is just running back by committee. It really is. The next game I'm going to cover is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers. This game, it was very entertaining when it comes to subpar teams in their division. Now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 6-6, have a chance at. They still have the same opportunity to win the NFC South, but the Atlanta Falcons have already swept them. So basically, they do not have a chance at not making, but winning the NFC South because Atlanta Falcons have already swept them. Carolina Panthers, 3-9. I see Bryce Young. He's starting to work wonders in Carolina. They need to build around him now because Bryce Young is confident, and now everybody on the team is confident, and the head coach and the coaching staff needs to be confident in Bryce Young. Bryce Young, 24 of 46, 298 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Bryce Young, 21 of 33, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. And as far as the running game, that's what basically won it for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 236 yards rushing. The Carolina Panthers were 78 yards. Their running attack generated 78 yards. Now, when it comes to Tampa Bay Buccaneers, third down efficiency, they should have lost this game. They really should have. 2 of 12 as far as third down efficiency, 6 of 16 as far as third down efficiency for the Carolina Panthers. Now, the Carolina Panthers, they have a lot to build on for the 2025 season, and the 2025 season as far as building for the Carolina Panthers starts right now. The next game I'm going is the Philadelphia Eagles and the Baltimore Ravens. Left some points out there on the board. Justin Tucker missed 2 field goals and 3 extra points. And one thing that got me was I was looking at the press conference, and a reporter asked the Ravens head coach, John Harbaugh, if he is going to make a change at the kicker position. And he said, not at this time, meaning that he has thought about it, but he's not going to do it right now. So Jalen Hurts, 11 of 19, 118 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Lamar Jackson, 23 of 36, 237 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. One thing about the Philadelphia rushing game, they have averaged over 130 yards throughout this 8-game winning streak. So when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, are they the best team in the NFC? No, the Detroit Lions have that. And it is very crucial that whoever out of the Detroit Lions and Philadelphia Eagles, whoever gets home field advantage will represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, because both home field advantages are very hostile, Detroit and Philadelphia. So now it's just a battle of who can get the best record and who can get home field advantage first. Now, as far as the Baltimore Ravens, Derrick Henry, 19 carries, 82 yards. I think that for the Ravens to win out and make it all the way to the Super Bowl, they have got to give Derrick Henry the ball 25 to 30 times. I've said it after every game this week. Give the ball to Derrick Henry 25 or 30 times, and you will win games. But the Baltimore Ravens, I believe Lamar Jackson Is he out to prove a point where he can throw his team to victory? At times, yes. At times, yes. And then other times, you've got to know that you have a 250-pound bell cap in the backfield and just let him run all over these defenses. And as far as third down efficiency, in the Baltimore Ravens were 6 of 15. The Philadelphia Eagles were 4 of 12. So third down efficiency was basically the same, but it was a very entertaining game when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles and Baltimore Ravens. And is that a will we be able to see them in the Super Bowl? Obviously, it remains to be seen. The next game I'm going to cover is Sunday Night Football, the San Francisco 49ers and the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, 13 of 17, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, along with 148 yards. Now, Josh Allen was the first quarterback to throw a touchdown pass, catch a touchdown pass, and run for a touchdown in the same game. Brock Purdy, 11 of 18, 94 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. San Francisco, I believe their season is over after this game. The Buffalo Bills, start printing out your playoff tickets now because you are on your way to the playoffs. The Buffalo Bills, in this case, I knew that they were going to slaughter the San Francisco 49ers. I just knew that because San Francisco are dealing with so many injuries, plus the rushing attack for the Buffalo Bills had over 200 yards. The rushing attack for the 49ers had 153 yards, to be exact. San Francisco, they've had so many injuries galore. Christian McCaffrey is out for the season. So, like I said 2 months ago, San Francisco is going to have to take a back seat this year and just be ready for next year and possibly make it to the playoffs, not possibly make it to the playoffs next season. But they have so many players they need to put under contract. They are going to have to let a few players go. But like I said, that's the business of the NFL. You can't bring everybody back year after year after year. And as far as third down efficiency in this game, the 49ers were 3 of 10. The Buffalo Bills were 6 of 12. Buffalo, at best you can be the number 1 seed in the playoffs in the AFC, and worst case scenario, you are the number 2 seed and you have to go into Arrowhead on championship weekend and try and beat the Kansas City Chiefs. The final game I'm going to talk about last night's Monday night, the Cleveland Browns and the Denver Broncos. Knicks, 18 of 35, 294 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Jameis Winston, 34 of 58, 497 yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Now, the Cleveland Browns rushing attack was non-existent. 77 yards. The Denver Broncos rushing attack, they did slightly, and I do mean slightly better, at 106 yards. Bo Nix, he is in the running for Rookie of the Year when it comes to his play. He is also in the running for MVP, as well as Jaden Daniels. Now, this is nitty-gritty time in the NFL. Playoff scenarios are happening. So let's see what teams can make that final push towards the playoffs for the NFL season. And the final stat from this game, the Cleveland Browns, 9 of 19 on third down, and the Denver Broncos, 6 of 13 on third down. This was an entertaining game. Cleveland Browns, they need to go on ahead, get prepared for the NFL draft. The Denver Broncos, you win 3 out of your next 5 games, you are going to the playoffs. Congratulations. I just have to commend Sean Payton for turning the Denver Broncos organization around and the defensive coordinator, Vance Joseph. I don't know how many times I've said this, but he has improved that defense a lot from last season. As far as the Denver Broncos, the sky's the limit for them. The Cleveland try and get better for the 2025 NFL season. And with that, those are my reactions to week 13 of the 2020 NFL season. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, click the notification bell to get notified of all of my reaction videos, shows, and other content. And also follow Key City Sports on TikTok. And remember one last thing, the key is always on time.